Add myself to the stage. Hey guys, how's it going? What a week, right? Let me get back to this baby. That's not real. That's not the right number. But for those who are here just for elephant money, I'll get into it and then get on with the rest of the Developer Strikes Back. The Developers Strike Back. We had quite an exciting week. A lot of fun, a lot of crazy. Let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome to the TDSB stream. This is a stream where I come from a developer side, but regardless, we talk about FinTech. So I want to be very clear. None of the things I talk about you should construe as, legal, financial, or profit advice. Just really here to discuss on this show specifically what's going on in the dev world with regards to FinTech. Good morning, Westside. I hope that when you see that I say the side, I go, site, I hope that conveys, but you never know. So as always, I'd like to give you a little bit about my background. I always do it different every time. So I was in high school, I think I was a D+ student. I graduated from college with a Bachelor of Music degree. I worked in the music industry for a couple years before I went into internet stuff, worked down on Wall Street, not on Wall Street, but literally I was working on Wall Street next to the Trinity building. From there, I went to AOL Time Warner, where I started out as a UI dev and got into deeper coding, programmed the first web application in AOL, and proceeded to go from there back into more of a techie admin role, running systems on Unix, Linux, Windows internationally. Then I decided I wanted to get back into programming, so I led a group of very smart engineers as we managed desktops across. By then the merger had happened, so it was AOL Time Warner. From there, I went to Accenture. I worked as an information systems security officer on behalf of Accenture for the Department of Commerce. From there, I went to work on the California Exchange. And from there, I went to EY, where I traveled internationally as a cybersecurity consultant. So that's my background. The Dark Knight has arrived. What's up, Moses? I think you already... Hold on, let me move. You see the back of the chair. Hold on one second. Sorry, I gotta do one more thing. Okay, she's not listening. All right. Connie, you're gonna be fired. All right, so EM, first take. Let's take a look at it. So we had this. Let me break this down a little bit better. You can't see it as much. So we had this event. So I look at all things through a cybersecurity lens. I can't help it, right? So when we got called in for an incident or incident response, you always become a detective. You have to start looking at, okay, what were the signs? Were there any indications that the bad actor was on your network prior to you being exploited? So when I see this kind of behavior at the bottom here, I go, oh, okay, well, I've got weeks of normal. So they started testing here, right? They started testing, and this is when they did it. This is not saying, hey, this is a state actor. They're a bad actor. No, they're just greedy people who are currently in the stock market, in real estate, you name it. They're very bad people who only care about themselves and greed. They're not my favorite people. But what they did was They decided either purposefully or not to get to dump some bags. Now, on other ROI platforms, which Elephant Money is not, Elephant Money is a business, and it's one business on this big ass planet of 8 billion people. It's not meant to go, oh, I'm going to get rich tomorrow. No, it's a community, it's a decentralized bank, right? And so it's got a lot of services, and Elephant Money is the one that kind of brings people in. I still don't get to eat one, teach one, but I'm not eating anybody. I'm just not doing it. So what you can see is they exercise their free ability to just sell. Now, what that started doing is for a lot of people who are used to seeing this, it's over. Turn out the lights, the party's over, people go home. But what you can see is, right, these guys probably got back in here. So if they tested over here, they got a little bit of their capital out here, right? And then they sold here. Well, looks like they tried to buy back in down here. So it could be they could try it again. They could not try it again. The bonus about Elephant Money is Bertha don't care. Bertha will continue to buy. That's what's unique about the Elephant Money system. That's what's unique about having a developer come up with a strategy to get rid of greed or to somewhat negate the impactful results of it. Now, let's go to this, to one that's a little bit more, here we go. And that's this one, right? So I believe that somebody probably had an alarm set, or they saw that it was trending, they did their calculations, and they estimated when it was going to drop, and they got out. Or they purposefully decided to hurt Elephant Money. I don't care. You've seen kids arrested or given tickets for having lemonade stands, right? So there's not anybody who's going to be happy for Elephant Money people or try to help them, any more than they would help a kid at a lemonade stand that gets a ticket or gets a city council to shut down their stand. People are idiots. They're just so selfish. So what we have here is you can clearly see that, we're on a recovery. However, there's something that you have to, in my opinion, also pay attention to. This was a little dip before the exploit happened. So if you're a bad actor where you go, can I get more elephant? Maybe I can recreate that exact same scenario one more time. I'll make them think that this is happening again because they're ignorant, which means uninformed about what it's doing. So they'll just think this is going to happen again. And then when they all sell again, I'll get in just like I did right here. And after the fees, because Elephant or bank tellers gotten rid of the idea of taxes. These are fees. And I can make my fees back as well because I'll drop it low enough that it's equitable for me to get back in. Now, these people probably have lots of money. This is all my idea. I have no proof. These people have lots of money. Losing, getting back in, that's not a problem. They are doing it for the long run because they can see, in my opinion, they see that Elephant Money is going to be here for a long time. All right, so you have that. All right, so it just depends on the way you look at it. So now let's get into, got a comment. Each one, teach one, not eat one, teach. I've heard people say that, but I've also noticed that supermarket sales are going up on barbecues. So I don't know. I want to believe you that it's each one, teach one, and not eat one, teach one. Because I just don't see it. If you're going to eat them before you teach them, it just doesn't make sense. So you might be on to something, Greg. I'm going to have to, go into committee and discuss this internally. So my AA talk, blocking of humans. All right, well, so if you can see in the title, I say, "Are FinTech devs modern pioneers?" Right? And let me get off something that doesn't look so ugly. I kind of think we might be. And so I was talking to AI. That's what it was about. So I had an AI talk on the blocking of humans from doing things that they wanted to do. And the reason I thought of it was because I think of FinTech, at least in the DeFi space, as we're all pioneers, we're explorers. And I thought of, hey, America was a place that people explored, and there were only indigenous people here for the most part. Well, no, they had to be. No, they didn't have to be. For the most part, it was indigenous people. And so I wondered if there was any blocks put on by corporate in the old country. And AI was like, because I said it parallels to the way that AI is being governed, as well as blockchain and crypto. And AI responded, "You're correct. The behaviors that are exhibited for AI and blockchain technology are exactly or similar to what happened when people were trying to move from Europe to America. They put in rules. They prevented people from moving. You couldn't go across the seas. It was illegal. They would stop you. And one of the reasons I started thinking about it is because, I'm kind of a cruiser. I go on 51-foot yachts, 40-foot yachts. I sail across the Atlantic all the time on YouTube. Okay, so I don't do it, but I watch a lot of people do it on YouTube. And they do it in monohulls, which is just a boat that has a sail, one sail. Well, not one sail, but it doesn't have two hulls. And they go across all the time. And I'm like, so it wasn't that big of a hop, skip, and a jump to get from Europe. So what prevented them? If the seas, because we were taught in school, you needed the Santa Maria and the Mayflower to bring people over. That wasn't true. There were people like us in DeFi that were like, hey, I want to go. But in America, specifically, we're getting these blocks that are saying, hey, we know it's good for you. If you go over there, there's corruption and we need to stop it. And then they allowed indentured servitude so people could come over, but you had to be licensed. You had to be licensed and check in with the state before you could travel to America. And so I was like, what? You had to get a hall pass. You had to get permission from the government to make your way to freedom. That is like such a unique parallel with what's happening in DeFi. But what was really happening was big money was like, no way, I'm gonna get over there first. Right? So some people probably did make it over because they're like, you're an idiot to go over that way. We even probably know that although that there were flat earthers back then, they weren't, they were probably thought of just as crazy. But we thought it was the norm to think that the earth was flat. But that's just what we were taught. So is DeFi the new commonwealth between common people who want to invest the same way the elite do without the interference of big business trying to say, use their media conglomerates to scare the hell out of people so that they don't come in? Now, I operate on a 33% idea. 33% of the people will like your idea, 33% will hate your idea, and 33% don't give a flying fluff. So they can be influenced either way, right? So I think that a commonwealth I saw that I got a comment, so I lost my thought. But I think that a commonwealth is the best way to discuss it. And that was inspired by the series Andromeda, that's a Gene Roddenberry takeoff. It was for several years, it lasted. And Dylan Hunt gets trapped in a event horizon, comes out after 300 years, finds out everything is gone, but there's just nothing but chaos in the galaxy. And so he decides to renew a commonwealth that brings all planets together. So when you have an elephant money, even when you have a drip community or herd community, It's like a commonwealth of a sorts. It's a peaceful group of people who are just trying to use technology and a period of time to exploit the greatness of that capability to provide for their families the same way the elite use their money to maintain their wealth and use their power to choke out any attempts to claim what they feel is by birthright theirs. Wow, I don't believe I got that out. So to the comments. Crypto Neptune, I'll give EM credit. Still moving along just fine. Strong buy volume. Yeah, buy and sell volume, as Bank Teller points out, right? You have to have both. If it's not, it's probably some kind of scheme. So going back to this particular stream, TDSB, I'm going to one day not have to look at the developer strikes back and say that. But if you take a look at tax assessments right now, they're done by humans and there's no auditing, and so there's no tech involved. But devs are starting to develop tech that help with property assessments, because what you're seeing is in the richer groups, although their tax liability is reducing, in the poorer areas, they're not being assessed the same. They can fill out a form to protest, but nobody listens to them. So people who are on a fixed income are being basically moved out of their house after retirement, not by any fault of their own, but because some assessor is saying, oh, your property's worth more, so your taxes are worth more, you owe more to us, and so you can't pay it, so we'll move you out, then we'll sell your property, then we'll get more money in for the community. But with AI and development, that's going to stop. But you have power, like we talked about, you couldn't even move to America unless you got permission from the government. You have people in power saying, I'm making money off of that. I want those poor people's property. I want that retired person's property so that I can make money. They'll find another place, but I'm not here. Sorry, this is business. This is the same repetitive crap that we've learned in school, we've been taught to just accept. And again, you have 33% of the people who don't really care, right? You have 33% of the people who really think, hey, it's not broken. Stop with your stupid crypto idea. You're destroying America. And then there's people like us who are saying, hey, you got an argument, but that's not what's happening. In 2020, you could be a very poor person and get into crypto, right? Just like you could probably get into a boat when you wanted to come to America and nobody cared. But then when people realize that there is money to be made, now you have to be rich to get into crypto. I've heard one report that more poor people have more in crypto than they have in banks. And the elite don't like that. We discussed last week how billionaires have consistently, open source admitted, they think that you should get back to work, right? Why aren't people working on poles after hurricanes, during floods? Why aren't they paid more than the CEO? I think that they should be making more than the CEO, right? And so what you're starting to see in France, and especially in the US right now, is laborers starting to fight back, right? To say, hey, thanks for the loan to get me through my last 2 weeks, but you're really making a lot of money and we're not. And so Satoshi, when he came up with Bitcoin, he was trying to address the financial problem the same way BT is trying to address the financial problems, but in crypto, right? And it's a business that a lot of us feel is going to work. When Elephant Money, and I'll talk about this a lot more tomorrow, when Elephant Money was falling, Bank Teller got on a stream inside of the Telegram group, and it wasn't what he said as much as it was from the multimillionaires who were commenting about, we've seen this before. The system is built to handle that. Now they've seen it. For me, it was like, oh dear God, not again. No, not this. It was not good. But what we have in crypto, wait, let me go here. is, the removal of gatekeepers. Specifically with Drip, you had gatekeepers, whether it was in Telegram, whether it was shareholders. Now, we'll talk about this a little bit more tomorrow on the the Herd Drip show. I gotta slowly go to it because I'm Drip for life, right? So, a lot of people ask, why crypto? Why crypto? Because it's auditable. There's accountability and there's a transparency. Although, the Opera browser does say, careful about Elephant Money. It does not have all open source contracts. And some people have been harshing on Bank Teller about that. But when you understand, this is one of the things I liked about Forex, was he understood the bad guy. And so the unfortunate part about Forex is he over-programs for that, or has his developers over-programmed to get out the cheater. Bank Teller just says, I'm going to eat it as a dev. I'm going to fix my architecture and go back in. But he still does have transparency because he's always available. Your SK Crypto K or the OGs in the Telegram chat, they're always there to answer a question. So that's why crypto. So one of the things as I start to wrap it up was I want to talk about Apollo AI Paradox 1 and Paradox 2. Right? So we're gonna divert off Elephant Money real quick. So Paradox 1. What happens when generative AI realizes that humans are programmable? Right? What happens when it understands that we have the ability to program humans? You see it all the time with religion, politics, ethnicity. People can be programmed to dislike someone just based on being told over again. No proof, just the ability to see it and hear it over and over. It's kind of like a Harry Potter spell, if you will. Paradox number 2. What happens when big money incorporates AI? So we talked about greed, right? Don't you think a greedy person's going to say, AI is not considered a person, but the Supreme Court has ruled that corporations are people. So what if I incorporate AI? I've created a person. So now when you put Paradox 2 and 1 together, it's like, oh snap, That's crazy that a greedy person could be in charge of an AI that's generative and have control and have legal rights of a citizen. So that makes Paradox 1, when generative AI realizes that humans are programmable, it puts out some very interesting scenarios. I don't know if it's doomsday, but I can definitely say having the legal right to be protected as a human because you're a corporation and be able to understand that humans are programmable. I mean, what happens after that? All right. So let's go here. And I'll switch to the closing out music. So you guys have heard me talk a lot about, well, not the new people, but people who've been here a while have heard me talk a lot about God, and let me watch the stream count drop down. But one of the guys that you can go search him, his name is Padre Pio. And okay, let me back up a little bit. So I'm a paranormal investigator, not the kind that goes out to police and go, oh, can you make the lights blink? But people who are in their homes that are afraid to live there because things that are happening that can't be explained by science, can't be explained by psychology, can't be explained happen. We have video, we have whatever. But a lot of people base that off of, spirituality, right? So Padre Pio, he, there's this one testament, there's many, but there was this guy who was escaping from capture of Germans in World War II. He saw the ability to get out on this train. The door was open, so he jumps out of the train. They stop the train. They go searching after him. They let the dogs loose. He starts running in the woods at night, trying to get away. He gets stuck in all the bushes. He can hear the dogs getting closer. He freezes, and this dog comes up to him. And the dog just looks at him. And he's praying. He heard about Padre Pio, so he's praying to Padre Pio. And so the dog just looks at him and walks away. So he's like, great. So he starts running. He's running. He's getting all caught up in the bushes. He gets so tangled in the bushes that he can't move. So he prays to Padre Pio. You can go watch the video, search on it. He prays to him, and because Padre Pio is with Jesus, so he knows he's in the same realm. And he promises something to God. So the next morning, sun comes. He breaks himself away from the bushes. He finds some people. He thinks they're going to be shocked. He's like, I've escaped from the Germans, and they go, the war ended last night. He goes, what? So he goes, oh my God, I got to go thank Padre Pio. So he rushes to where Padre Pio is. He gets, I don't think it was easy to meet with him, but he gets to meet with him. And he says, God allowed me to be invisible when you said such and such and such, in the middle of the woods where nobody else can hear him. So that tells you that there are powers that are greater than what we recognize. We accept that there's aliens now, and we understand that there's power and greed, but there's something else. Off of that something else of that story is the love for other people, pleading for help when you're at your wit's end. Communities like the Herd, or what was hopeful in the drip community in crypto, aren't reported on mainstream news, but we see it. But what we see more is the assholes who are greedy and just look to take advantage of you. I'm sure when some people came overseas, over to America, they were criminals, in line trying to get them to do bad things, or telling them things that weren't true, or telling them how they were going to be rich, and they fell for it and ended up being indentured servants. So that's really that. It's kind of how I want to wrap it up. Drip community, we're going to have a name change tomorrow. Look for that. And I told you I was going to give you a project update. I finished the basic coding for the API, and I've chosen the UI I want to use, so I've got to wire that together. I think I want to add some Twitter integration, but that's going on. And let's see. As always, remember, in the DeFi space, we're all devs now. Before I say goodbye, I got one message. RoboCop has arrived. I agree. All right, guys. I love you very much. Thanks for stopping by. I kept my rant under 30 minutes. Maybe. I will talk to you tomorrow for those who tune in. And as always, especially thanks to my Special 12. And game on.